Boss suddenly announced that I'll be expected to be on call. I work a financial-based 8-3-0-5 office job. My boss is kind and I have respect for her. And my pay is not bad for a first job with great benefits. Out of nowhere, she called me into her office and announced to me that I'll be issued a work phone and expected to be on call after work and on weekends starting next week. This was not in my job description and not in my contract. I wasn't sure what to do, so I just sat there and nodded in confirmation that I understood her expectations. What should I do? So what are they paying you for being on call? And how do you record overtime when you need to answer? If they aren't offering you additional compensation, in writing, the answer you give is no. I'd suggest to your boss to have a sit-down with HR ASAP so that you all can get on the same page. Expectations on both ends. Sinking suspicion that boss's response will be that there is no need to bring HR into this. At which point you put on your best naive newbie act and feign confusion as to why this isn't protocol. Then send the message to our. Ask, when will I get my new contract? I'll bet she is passing he on-call duties onto you. Aren't you an avid hiker? In areas with poor reception. And in the evenings you somewhere loud and noisy. And what kind of calls are you taking? From clients or coworkers? Expected to be on call. And I expect you'll have a new contract for me to rip up and throw in the trash. Never agree to on-call. You can't change the terms of employment without a new signature. No thanks, is a legitimate response. As said below, this is way outside your job description. Are you now a travel coordinator? Forward all the calls back to her. Or ask for compensation. Sure, I'll take half-hour pay for every 8-hour block I'm on call, and if I do get called in, it's minimum 4 hours of double time pay. It's not even unreasonable, that's what my company pays us for on-call. Salary doesn't mean on-call 24/7. If an employer want you on call, they should paid for on-call. That's lame. I get $1.25 hours to be on call and I get $30 each time I answer a phone call or get a text. Usually, there is an on-call rota. That is normally 1 or maybe 2 weeks. You should receive a payment for being on call. And then an hourly rate anytime you receive a call. Are they expecting you to be on call all the time? That is ridiculous if they expect that. You're being told to work for free on your own time and you just nodded. Lol. Ask how much you will be paid for being on call and what hours. Explain that you don't work for free. Ask how much. You can go back now and clarify the situation by asking if you are getting double time on weekends and holidays. If not, then ask for your boss's number so you can forward calls. They'd figure compensation out a different way. They won't. It's a stall tactic designed to wear you down. Your manager is an abusive asshole looking to exploit you. Been there. Done that. Avoid my mistakes. Refuse now. Refuse emphatically. That level of service abso-fucking-lutely does not come free. You can't reasonably expect me to donate an additional X hours of my time per week to the company with no compensation whatsoever. I know it's hard when you are young and you need the job, but you let this much change in responsibly without a change in pay, they will walk on you for as long as you are there. Sorry. That is kinda a run-on sentence. You can leave your phone at work. Say you're waiting for your on-call schedule and compensation in a new contract negotiation. Having a contract is great. You don't need to do anything unless you update that contract. And you can negotiate that moving forward. Be like one of my past coworkers. Freaking tried every method to watch porn on it. 3 days. They stripped him with his phone because he said both look similar and he has downtime. HR slapped their heads and just walked out. Ask for a significant pay raise, yesterday. More work should always be compensated. No matter how much anyone disagrees. If they can't compensate you fairly, then you need to politely decline in writing. If they don't agree to it, don't settle. Find a new job. I'm sorry employers are manipulative like this. But it's so common these days that the only way to make it less common is to stand your ground. Such a slippery slope. It starts with the odd call and ends with there was a ticket at 3 a.m. Why didn't you answer it? And the 3 a.m. thing isn't a joke, it actually happened to me. My response was find someone else. Don't accept the phone unless you're well paid per incident. Start an email trail and blind copy her boss an hour. Call your Department of Labor. On-call is treated as overtime generally if you've already worked the standard week. Even if you're salaried. Cool. What's my overtime on-call rate? Oh, it's not figured out yet? Odd. I can't figure out how to remove airplane mode from this device. Strange. Just curious. What type of finance job? I can see this as the norm for something like investment banking where deadlines are harsh. Start looking for a new job. Being on call one weekend a month would be within acceptable limits for a salaried position. Although that should have been made explicitly known during the hiring process. On call every night and every weekend? Get the fuck out of here with that bullshit. She's counting on this being your first job and you just accepting it. If you kept a copy, find the job description they posted and see if there's any mention of 24/7 on call. This was not in my job description and not in my contract. I would start by pointing that out. Expected to be on call after work and on weekends starting next week. Is there a time frame here? She just expects you to do nothing else in your life? Phone doesn't work when you're not in range of a cell tower. You're developing a sudden affinity for outdoors adventures on the weekends in the boomies. Nice. Depending on what type of finance job. I'm taking this as confirmation that poop is about to hit the fan. I thought I heard you say something about your religion not permitting work after sundown Friday. Until sunup Monday, right? While you're looking for a new job. I just want to say how much I admire you for taking up the challenging new hobby of rock climbing. In remote areas with no reliable cell service. Also, sorry to hear about how you're such a heavy sleeper that even your alarms sometimes don't wake you up, much less a phone. They need to pay you on-call pay for being on call and you need to have them document in writing what you will be paid if you have to work on something after hours. Even if you are salary. Having rotating people on call for something mission critical is pretty typical. Telling one person they are forever on call is some big WTF. They can't tie up your entire life outside of work. Making you permanently on call all the time means you can't leave town. Go do something that makes you unavailable. Requires reservations, etc. If they give you any pushback or a hard no, consult with an employment lawyer and see what their thoughts are on this. If boss suddenly decides you need to be on call, boss needs to suddenly decide you are going to be paid to be on call. Being on call is more work. Period. More work needs to mean more pay. Otherwise, you refuse to be on call. Put the phone in an aluminium bag over the weekend. Are you in the US? The best thing is to unionize. I have done on-call work in the telecom industry for years. It's hell. Make them pay for it. Charge a minimum of 2 hours for every call or whatever you can get away with. In my state you can't do on-call and be salary. They also are not allowed to ask you to do comp time but YMMV. Refuse.